Elation and jubilation gamers from all around the world. I am Lucian, the World Gamer. Welcome to a show where we talk about everything gaming. And today I have a very special guest here with me, Jeremy Blaustein, legendary translator, voice director, and absolute authority in video games localization. Welcome, Jeremy, and thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi, Lucian. It's great to be here. Thanks.
Thank you. So, guys, he's worked on some of the best and most classic video games ever. If you love games from the 90s and the 2000s, you probably experienced his work. His curriculum is interstellar with games ranging from Metal Gear Solid to the Silent Hill series, but also Shenmue and classic RPGs like Suikoden 2, Valkyrie Profile, Bundle Hearts, Shadow Hearts. So I mean, guys, he's the one who came up with the name codec for Metal Gear Solid 1 and the now iconic phrase, "What is a man?" from Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So just wow. I mean, the more I think about it, the more it just blows my mind. And that's not even mentioning your role as a voice director and your work on localizing and translating the anime adaptation of a little series you guys might have heard of called Pokemon. So Jeremy, you had a hand in everything I love. You made my childhood, and I'm sure of our viewers today in some shape or form. So it's an honor to have you here, Jeremy. Thanks again.
Thank you. I think that's a great introduction. Thank you. I feel on top of the world after that introduction.
Great. So I gathered some notes to help me because we have a lot to talk about.
What is a man?
Hey, how you doing?
You localized the Immortal Symphony of the Night, of course, so the first question is really an obvious one. What is a man?
It's a miserable little pile of secret.
That's exactly what it is. How did you came up with that?
I was translating the opening scene, and I was looking at it at the same time. And when it got to the, if you could imagine in your mind's eye, Dracula standing up and hurling the glass would wind down, and he said something. Now, the Japanese that he said, it just didn't click in any way with a line that I felt I could make work in English. He says something like, we shall be the judge, we'll judge that by who lives and who dies, or some kind of line like that, The truth of the matter will be judged, but it's just, I couldn't, and bear in mind, if I thought about it for probably 15 minutes or half an hour, I probably couldn't come up with something which was closer to the original. However, nobody at the time thought that it was important, really, to make sure it was the same as the original. Our only goal was to create a game that would be fun to play, because we had no expectation that somebody in Europe was going to be looking at the Japanese lines and picking through it and saying,
Got you there.
Yeah, it's not the same as what he wrote. It was just,
It's not the same, so hence is wrong. That's not how it works.
Lucian, these days, I dare say that I wouldn't have the courage to come up with my own line, because I would be, crucified.
And we would have lost a big line in there, because we would have lost a big moment in Castlevania history.
Yeah, so I got to this line that seemed very dramatic. It seemed like it should be a line that sounded, this is Dracula. He's like thousands of years old. And it really shouldn't be speaking kind of everyday language. I wanted it to sound very special. So I decided what I would do is go through a book of Proverbs. And I had a little book about this big of Proverbs. And I think you could index by subject. And I might have looked up humanity or something like that.
Is it the same book from which you took the one of the phrases from the endings that the only way for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
Wait, did I put that line?
Yeah, you did. And ever since I was a child, I thought, man, that's so good. It's so true as well.
That particular line is something that is well known in the West.
It stayed with me, that line, forever. Like, ever since, I never forgot that line. So it's great that you chose. And moreover, I think that Dracula's line, what is a man, like the way it was also delivered, and we will go there as well. He was so angry. It makes sense that he was angry because he was sealed away for 100 years and he just came back and is already going back. So, I don't want to go back. What is a man? You know?
I think it was contemptuous.
Yes.
Contemptuous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. I had no regrets about that.
And again, speaking of the English voice performance, it was very, very theatrical. But the script...
I was not involved in the audio recording in any way.
Okay, so you didn't choose the person, you didn't cast anybody.
I had not.
Okay, so you were not voice director in Castlevania. Okay, so you didn't have any input on... Because you wrote the dialogues, but they spoke it, the voice actor spoke it. You, unlike Metal Gear Solid, they just gave your script to the voice actors and they had... It's a miracle that it got this good. Honestly, without your involvement of the original, script writer. Honestly, there were some, of course, hiccups because, what do you hear? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I thank you. That's it. That's probably the line that I would bring up to show that they didn't. I would try to write archaic English, somewhat archaic, And what do you hear is actually, I don't know where maybe it was like a 4 comic where I first heard that, I mean, most of that kind of writing, I read comics all the time as a kid, and they were well written back then in the 60s and 70s. So I think I
were influenced.
I was definitely channeling like 4 comics there. But clearly the voice actor didn't know that grammatical thing, so...
To me, that is as iconic as the rest. Honestly, and for me, I took it as an archaic English. Honestly, so for me, as a kid who didn't speak English really, was just starting speaking English, reading English, barely even reading English, it came through as something archaic, which made sense because let's face it, it was in 17 something 89, so it makes sense that it was archaic. It was totally in character with the setting and the time.
The other thing that you might not have noticed about the translation of that game is I really played with the items a lot. I took things from Tolkien, I took things from Kurt Vonnegut, I took things from everywhere that I could think of for these item names because a lot of times I didn't know what they were referring to in Japanese, And it wasn't like back then, it wasn't like you could just send an email or, you were working by yourself. And so, and again, like I said, I didn't think it mattered if it was, as long as it was fantastical,
Right. But gamers as well, they didn't have ways to check as much as they can now. Counter check.
Yeah, the internet also wasn't what it is now.
Totally.
In fact, I don't even know if there was an internet.
1997, it was very, very rough. There was the 56K modem that did the horrible sound, which is now burnt into my earbuds. But good old times. Good old times. And speaking of the script, again, like many others, your script was redone in subsequent re-release of Castlevania Symphony of the Night, starting with Dracula X Chronicles, but also the most recent Requiem. And honestly, I've read many comments and people were like, I would have loved so much the original script because for the voice delivery as well. How does it make you feel again that fans point at your work as the definitive version of the game?
Let's not fool ourselves. In some cases, it's just nostalgia of youth. So I'm not going to stand here and say that whether it's Silent Hill 2 or Castlevania, I'm not going to say that they were the end-all, be-all, great voice acting. But they were the original thing, and it was lightning in a bottle, and I can understand why people would want to hear what they played in their youth. So, and of course, I'm happy about it, and I'm very sad that What Is a Man is now gone.
But that's another thing. It's way less theatrical, like in a play. I've always saw it as if it was like in a theater, really, as if the characters were kind of playing the roles in a way, and it was awesome.
If it's not an improvement, I don't see why you would page it back. I mean, I don't know. My personal opinion is that the American game is the American game, and the Japanese game is the Japanese game. And if you're going to remake the American game, I'm not sure why you would go back to the script and say, oh, this is, a mistake. I mean, if it's a mistake, okay, but is What Is the Man a mistake? I don't know. I guess it comes down to the question of, is a translator a part of the production process?
It definitely is. It most definitely is, in my opinion.
In my opinion, definitely is. It's a little bit hard to understand. A lot of interesting, sort of philosophical problems come up with that. What else did I want to say about that? So yeah, I mean, I was trying to bridge this gap between. I was essentially trying to understand the author's intent. Yeah.
And the translation is always sort of lost. We try to lose as little as possible. That's I guess what we go for at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Look, thank you so much. I think it's time to wrap it up. But before we do, one last question. It's not really a question, more of a space for you to say anything you wish to our viewers, your fans who followed your work over the years. So, what would you say?
Wow, first of all, I'd say thank you. I can't believe I have fans. I would say that I really loved, translating all these games, and nothing makes me happier than the thought that I inspired people or I made their days a little bit better. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome, and I feel really privileged to have had this career and this opportunity. And that's about it. Thank you, everybody, for all your support. And that's about it.
Awesome. Well, guys, I'd say we can now let Jeremy go. We've been here for long enough. And you've been very patient. You've answered so many questions today, and I truly, truly appreciate your honesty about the topics we've been discussing. Thanks so much for your time. You really made my day, and I'm sure that of our viewers as well.
It was my pleasure as well.
And that really wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this nice little talk with our special guest, Jeremy Blaustein. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe so that I can bring you the best quality content. But really, at the end of the day, I just want to thank you so much for spending some of your precious time watching this video to the end. I will be seeing you in my next one, but until then, stay safe, play safe, world gamers.